This happened to all of us, okay? It's just gonna be honest. We've all, at some point in time, especially if you have kids, you've walked into a bathroom and someone had forgotten to flush. Like it had not happened. Like, it's something you constantly remind kids, right? Remember to flush. And there's times even when you go out in public, like, you're out at the mall or, well, at least we used to. Not now, we never get to do those kinds of things. Um, but it's not a pleasant situation. It's not a fun moment, right? In fact, if you're out somewhere and you have other options, you go to them. You're like, oh no, I'm not going in that one. I'm gonna go try the next one, or you wait till you get home or something because you're like, I don't want to be around that. God doesn't want to be around stuff like that either. Uh, Deuteronomy 23, the 8-year-old in me chuckled when I read this passage this week. It says, choose a place outside the camp where people may go and relieve themselves. Carry a tent peg with you, and when you relieve yourself, dig a hole and cover it up. The Lord your God moves around through your camp to protect you and to defeat your enemies. So the camp must be holy. He must not see anything unclean among you, so that he will not leave you. Imagine going to somebody's house and you go use the bathroom and that's what you see. Someone forgot to flush, right? Does it make you at least question for a moment? Like, all right, did they clean anything up? And then you start like, do they really want me over here? Do they really want to have company today? Or did they really want to invite me in? It makes you question a little bit how much they wanted you. It takes away a little bit from how inviting and welcoming their home might be. I remember when when we have bought houses before, and you're out with the realtor doing the thing, looking at all these different houses, and you go to some, and they've clearly worked hard, they've set it up, everything's super clean. We have some friends right now who are in the process of moving in Albuquerque, and she posted a pic the other day. Their kids are doing they've got the new house and they're trying to sell their old house, and the kids are off doing their distance learning, their schoolwork stuff at the new house because she doesn't want them to mess up the stage set up house, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that happens sometimes when you're selling a house. That you want everything to look nice and cleaned up and tidy because when people come in, you want them to feel welcome. You want them to feel like they could live here, they could be here, they could stay here. That this is somewhere they want to be and somewhere they should be. I remember looking at one house, one of the first houses we looked at, the first time we bought a house too. And we walk in and it was all right. It looked kind of, there's some stuff around, but we walk into the kitchen and literally the dishwasher was open with like the drawer pulled out and like dirty dishes just half filled in there. And it was like, were they like in here washing dishes and we came through the front door and they like jumped out the window real quick? Like it felt strange. It felt weird. It felt like they were totally unprepared, that they didn't really want us in that house. We did not buy that house, by the way, either. And look, I'm I'm not, I don't live in an immaculate house. It's not spotless when people come over ever. We try and straighten up sometimes. And yeah, there's certain times where people just come over and, hey, this is just what it is. We live here and our house looks lived in. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a big difference between a house being lived in and a house not being cared for. That we don't even care about the appearance of things. And the same is true for our lives. That there's a big difference between, all right, like I made some mistakes and things get messy sometimes, and I don't care and I'm not trying. There's a very big difference between those two things. In Romans, um, Paul points out to the Romans that no matter how much you sin, as much as sin abounds, grace abounds more. There's no limit to God's grace. You're never going to screw up so bad. You're never going to make such a big mess of things that God's grace cannot cover it. It can't take it away. That can't happen. But he also points out that that's not an excuse to go on sinning. That's not just a reason for us to go, oh, I can just go do whatever I want. I can just live however I want because God's grace is big enough. It'll cover me, so I'm fine. That's missed the point. That's not caring for the house anymore. There's that difference between lived in and not cared for. And we don't want to cross that line. We don't want to go to a place where we start to make God feel unwelcome in our lives, where we stop caring about him and about things that cause distance. Because look, his grace covers those things, which means, does God still love me? Yes, absolutely. In my worst moments, God loved me. When we were enemies, when we were totally against him, he sent his son to die for us. He loves us. Does it mean that I'm no longer a part of his family? No. But does it mean that we're not as close as we once were? Yes. Does it put distance between us? Yes. Does it mean that he can't do some of the things in my life that he might want to do? Yeah. It means that I'm going to miss out on things that God is doing because he's still going to continue to do what he does. He's going to be God. His mission will go on. I'm going to be the one that misses out on it. I'm going to miss out on some of that blessing that I could have been a part of because I didn't care enough to make my life a place where God wanted to be. I didn't care enough to make it welcoming, inviting, so that he could be around, so that we could be close. Folks, we need to take care of how we live, about how inviting and welcoming our lives are to God, to His Spirit. There are things that cause Him to keep His distance, things that we do that are going to make Him not come as close, not be able to come as close as He wants to. And He's going to move further away from us. We need to get rid of those things. We need to learn to clean out our lives so that it's a welcoming, inviting place for God to come in and hang out and be with us so that we can be close to Him. We need to remember to flush. Love you guys.